I'll never forget the look on their faces when I stepped off that plane in a tailored charcoal suit and said the words, "You're all terminated," effective immediately. Just hours before, they couldn't even bring themselves to hand me a glass of water. But I wasn't just any passenger. I was the CEO of the airline they worked for, and they had no idea. Funny thing is, I didn't plan it this way. I wasn't trying to catch anyone slipping. That Thursday started with something a lot simpler, a promise. My daughter Layla had her first piano recital in Atlanta, and I told her I'd be there front row. No excuses, no delays, just her dad cheering her on. But of course, life had other plans. The board meeting in New York ran late. My private jet was tied up, so I booked a last-minute commercial flight on my own airline, the one I built from the ground up, Sterling Airways. I told my assistant no special treatment, no alerts. I want to see what our passengers experience when they fly us. So I changed into jeans and a plain navy shirt, packed light, and headed to the gate just like anybody else. The moment I stepped onto Flight 227, I felt it. That look. You know, the one like you walked into a room you don't belong in. The lead flight attendant, a blonde woman with a frozen smile named Christine, welcomed the man ahead of me like he was royalty. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Langston. Can I show you to your seat in first class?" Then she saw me. Her smile disappeared like someone cut the power. She glanced at my boarding pass, said, "Down to the left," and turned away. No greeting, no offer to help. I made my way to seat 1A right up front, settled in, watched. The guy across the aisle, white guy in golf attire, got offered water snacks, his coat taken. Me, I was invisible. The younger attendant, Megan, didn't even glance my way. I asked politely for sparkling water. She said, "I'll get to you when I can," loud enough that folks nearby turned their heads. 10 minutes passed. Nothing. I've dealt with this kind of thing before. Too many times, honestly. But this was my airline, my brand, my standards. And the more I sat there watching them smile and fuss over every white passenger in first class while ignoring me and the elderly Indian woman across from me, the more I felt that old fire building in my chest. At one point, I heard Christine near the galley whispering to the young male attendant, Drew. She nodded toward me and said, "He probably used someone else's miles or snagged an upgrade. They always think they belong up here." Drew chuckled. I sat there still as stone. Every word burned into my mind. But I didn't blow up. I just opened my laptop and took notes. Times, names, actions, witnesses. After 2 hours of being brushed off, passed over, and talked about like I wasn't even there, I stood up and walked to the galley. Christine and Drew straightened when they saw me. "Excuse me," I said, voice calm but firm. "I've been sitting in 1A for over 2 hours. I've pressed the call button 3 times. No drink, no meal, no acknowledgement. I've watched you serve every other first-class passenger with warmth and professionalism except me and one other." Christine fumbled. "Sir, we treat all our passengers equally." "Do you?" I asked. Then why was I asked to show my boarding pass 3 separate times? Why was I skipped every round of service? Why did I just overhear you question whether I even belonged up here? Megan appeared beside her, arms folded, chin raised. "May I see your boarding pass again, sir?" I held it up steady as ever. "It hasn't changed since you last checked it." Around us, passengers turned their heads. Phones started recording. The man next to me, James, I think his name was, stood up and said, "I've been watching this whole time. He's right. They've ignored him while doting on the rest of us. It's disgraceful." Christine's face turned beet red. "If you continue disrupting the cabin, we'll have to notify the captain." "Please do," I said. "And while you're at it, call your supervisor. I'd like to speak with him personally." 15 minutes later, Kevin Gray, hair smug smile, power walking like a man on a mission, arrived. "Sir," he said, voice dripping with condescension, "I understand there's been some misunderstanding." "There's no misunderstanding," I replied. "There's been discrimination, consistent, documented, and witnessed by multiple passengers." Kevin leaned in and whispered, "Look, not everything's about race. Maybe next time you try being a little more grateful. Know your place." I stared at him. Know your place. Those 3 words echoed in my head like a gunshot in a church. I leaned in and said, "I know exactly what my place is, and in about 15 minutes you'll know yours too." He scoffed, turned away. I made a call, not to customer service, not to HR, to Sylvia, my COO. By the time we landed in Atlanta, Sylvia was waiting at the gate with security and a clipboard. I stepped off the plane, not in jeans, but in my CEO suit. The transformation wasn't just in my clothes, it was in the room. The moment they saw me, their faces crumbled. Christine stumbled over her words. "Mr. Cross, had we known?" "That's the problem," I said. "You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with dignity." Passengers gathered behind me. Phones out, eyes wide. James spoke again, this time to Sylvia. "Everything he's saying is true. The way they treated him was awful." I turned to the crew, all lined up like students awaiting punishment. "You violated every core value this company stands for." Christine drew Megan. "Kevin, your employment with Sterling Airways is terminated effective immediately." Christine gasped. "You can't do that." I raised an eyebrow. "I just did." Security escorted them away. Cameras flashed. The press was already outside the terminal. The story was out before I even got to my car. By the time I made it to Layla's recital, the hashtag #FlyWithRespect was trending. News anchors were calling it a landmark moment in corporate accountability. Others, of course, called it a publicity stunt. Some said I overreacted, that I ruined lives over a misunderstanding. But here's the thing. They didn't see what I've seen. They haven't been followed through luxury stores. They haven't been asked if they're in the right seat over and over. They haven't been told to know your place. And the truth is, I'm not angry for me. I'm angry for every black kid who grows up thinking success will finally shield them from bias, only to realize the target just shifts. I built this airline to prove we could do better. And when we failed, I made damn sure there were consequences. Later that week, one of the flight attendants, Drew, sent an email. Said he was sorry. Said he learned something. That mattered. What didn't matter were the lawsuits, the headlines, the noise. What mattered was this. A few days later, I flew again, same route, same airline, different crew. This time, a young woman named Sierra greeted every passenger with a smile. She offered me water before I even sat down, helped the Indian woman with her bag, treated the man in row 2 and the woman in row 5 exactly the same. And I thought, maybe this is how change begins. Not with grand speeches, but with one person refusing to accept disrespect as normal. So now, let me ask you, what would you have done in my place? Was I right to fire them on the spot, or did I go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me, have you ever been treated differently because of how you look, where you're from, or what people assume about you? This isn't just my story. It's all of ours. Let's talk about it.